Welcome. So, with the summer solstice around the corner, I thought we would focus on attuning to the spirit of summer in this meditation. So, every season has a particular essence that can help to bolster and strengthen and nourish qualities in ourselves, and also that can help to inform our lives. And so, today we're going to be imagining ourselves in a place in nature that's familiar to us. So obviously we're all in our, well, I don't know if we're all in our homes here. Maybe you are listening from outdoors, which would be the perfect environment. But if not, for this meditation, just go ahead and imagine yourself in a familiar place that you know, whether that's in your backyard or a park that you like to visit. And do the meditation just by visualizing the place. And then I would encourage you, maybe on Sunday, the actual day of the solstice, to do the meditation in an actual spot in nature so that you can be in direct relationship. But for today, just imagining the spot will do enough to evoke what this meditation is meant to bring forth. So whenever you're ready, you can just go ahead and close your eyes. And start by letting the exhale drop you into your seat. Just feeling the breath and the body and the physicality of your experience. Just any kind of physical sensation that comes forth is helpful to bring you into the here and now and to bring you into the world of sensation, which is really how we connect to nature and how we receive the powerful gifts that it has for us. And then go ahead and begin to imagine yourself sitting in a spot in nature. So for now, we won't be walking. We'll find a log or a bench to sit on, a tree stump. And we'll just imagine ourselves settling there. And for this meditation, we let go, especially if we're in our own backyard or garden, we can be thinking about the things that need to be done to care for our land. But in this case, we're letting all of that go in order to cultivate a direct relationship with nature without the overlay of activity. So the intention here is just as when we're going to speak or meet with a good friend, we're not going to multitask. We're going to give them our full and undivided attention. And we know from experience that those showing up in that way sets us up for a richer experience for both people. So the same thing when we are connecting with nature, and in this case, the spirit of summer. So the intention as we come to sit in this spot is simply to be receptive to this relationship that we have with summer. And we've lived many summers, all of us. And so we already have a relationship. This meditation is meant to deepen the relationship so that the spirit of summer can help us to meet our lives with greater presence, and with a greater capacity to really receive all that's here for us. So now that we have settled in our spot in nature, just allow yourself to feel the breath here. And let your feet settle into the ground beneath you. Perhaps you've taken off your shoes and socks so that you can feel the earth beneath your feet. And just notice what that feels like, whether your feet are on grass or earth or warm stone. Just notice what that feels like in your feet and how that might even transmit to the rest of the body. Sometimes there's a kind of a instantaneous settling and softening when we have that direct skin to skin contact with the earth. So just noticing how the rest of the being is responding, even though it's the soles of the feet themselves that have the direct contact. And begin to connect with your senses. So you could imagine perhaps, even as you keep your eyes closed here, so that the visualization remains alive, you can imagine that your eyes are open in this spot. And you allow yourself to look about. And you notice the familiar, perhaps trees or other plants. And as you stay with it in this just very relaxed and open way, perhaps new details will come to you. Perhaps noticing a change in the tone of the green in the tree leaves, or a new blossom, or a plant that has finished blossoming. If you just allow the eyes to be completely receptive to the environment, and you can turn the head right and left to just take it in without adding analysis. As you take in the environment around you, you may also notice that there's this kind of a stillness in part of the landscape. For example, the trunks of the trees generally won't be moving very much, and the stones and the earth itself. And at the same time, there's also some movement, perhaps in the leaves, in the grasses, in the flowers. And so you notice that, there's this blend of movement and stillness. And certainly as the wind blows, sometimes the whole landscape will be quite still, and other times there'll be a fair bit of movement. And it can change from one moment to the next. And so you'll notice that maybe a sudden gust of wind and the whole landscape will be in motion. And there could be other movement that comes through your vision. For example, a little chipmunk that runs by, or that's busily chewing on a seed, or a squirrel running up a tree, a bird flying by. An insect flying and landing. a butterfly or a moth hovering, floating gracefully. So the idea is to enter into the landscape as a part of the landscape. Just like trees wouldn't be thinking about each other or analyzing, we just be in a very receptive and inclusive kind of presence. And then you may also notice sounds, certainly as the wind blows, the sound of leaves dancing, birds singing, maybe a dog barking in the distance, and even the sounds of the city. For most of us, when we do this, we'll be hearing distant or not so distant sounds of the city, and they can be included without commenting. And then we might notice different scents wafting by, a shrub in bloom, a flower, the earth itself, particularly if it has rained or when strong sun hits the earth, especially if there are pine needles there, there's a kind of a scent, a warm, almost spicy scent that comes through. We can allow ourselves to take that in. And those things too, as we take them in, the sense, it's not just a smell. If we take our time with it, we notice that it evokes a feeling in the body. Perhaps a relaxation, a kind of a deeper rest. And we give ourselves the time to take that in. Depending on where we're sitting, we may also feel the heat of the sun, the warmth of the sun, and we can allow ourselves to take that in. Maybe we're letting the rays come onto some of our bare skin, and we can allow our bodies to absorb that. Allow the rays to penetrate into our bodies. And even consciously direct the rays to any parts of our bodies that need healing. So now begin to notice your interior world, even as you continue to immerse yourself in the environment where you're resting here. Begin to attune to how the inner body might be responding. Nature, being, energy can evoke and can even summon forth energies in our own being. And we can start with the physical body. Just noticing how the grosser physical body areas of tension, areas of relaxation, the warmth, the sensation of maybe the tree bark against your skin. We can just notice those sensations. Some of them may be quite familiar, others may feel new. And then gradually we may find ourselves to be more and more attuned to subtler sensations, those we might put in the category of emotions. So allow that to occur, allow awareness to penetrate into that layer. This is a very key environment through which we are receiving the spirit of summer. It will evoke certain emotions which will help to unveil an even deeper relationship. You could say, for example, if you do spend some time out in nature and certain emotions are evoked, that nature itself, and summer in this case, is purifying, is cleansing, is helping to clear certain emotions. So even if they're not so pleasant emotions, which might be surprising, just know that what's actually happening is a kind of a purging. Nature and summer is like a poultice that draws things forward. Also, many times, if for example, you have had certain experiences towards the end of June around the summer solstice, that if those emotions from those experiences weren't completely integrated, then they will be evoked at similar times of the year. It's like the essence of this particular time of the year, just where the light is at, what the temperature is doing, the insects that you see, the smells that you smell, all of these things can evoke unintegrated material, as well as joys that you have felt in the past. And even those, sometimes we're not completely capable of taking in the joy of an event that might have happened around this time of the year. So essentially it will happen all on its own. I'm just giving you a sense of what you could possibly experience. And so you allow yourself to settle here and allow whatever is evoked to come, and to let nature help you to digest. You know, the trees and the animals, the plants, the sky, the sun, they're like perfect therapists because they are pure listening, pure presence. There's no judgment, there's no separating. It's that you're always met as an equal. And this is possibly why nature is such a potent poultice, like that draws forth emotional material. And so let it do that. Notice where it might be felt in the body, and continue to allow the smells and the sun and the warmth and the dance of the plants to nourish and to encourage you toward a state of receptivity and a state of relaxation that allows for movement to happen within you. And you may, if you're familiar with chakras, you may also notice that there's a particular energy center that seems to be more active. And so again, including that, acknowledging first, and then just letting it do what it's doing. So when we haven't spent time in nature like this, there can be a tendency when we first try sitting still in nature that impatience arises, or anxiety or sadness. And this isn't a mistake, and it's not a problem. It's just part of the process, you could say. It's part of the remembering of our oneness with nature. And it's a part of the opening to receiving the gifts, the physical gifts, the emotional gifts, the energetic gifts, the soul gifts of nature. It's part of re-establishing and continuing to deepen our relationship. And in time, you may notice that you begin to feel qualities within your experience, like a certain steadiness or sense of trust, a sense of rest, of the nervous system resting, sense of joy. So this is how summer is evoking innate qualities through our interest in developing relationship. And so I invite you to spend the rest of your time here in your spot in nature, in silence, in presence and openness.